So the media is telling us that we have a whole bunch of properties that are sitting there and not listing. They're throwing out the number 76%, saying we have a 76% increase in the number of listings on the market, along with a 27% decrease in the number of actual sales. Now, are these actually true? Today, we're going to talk about what is really happening from a numerical perspective with the Toronto Real Estate Board's markets and see whether that 76% number is accurate or not. I'm going to tell you a little tip. It's actually not. We can talk about what's really happening. We're going to talk about whether the properties really are sitting on the market. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what the prices are doing and how much inventory there is really on the market. So here you go. Have a look at the numbers in the next charts. As I mentioned, the media has been talking a lot about the 76% increase in listings that we have in February this year. If you take a look at this chart here, you'll see that the active listings are actually at 76%, whereas new listings are at 5.4%. So 5.4 is the new listings coming onto the market in February of this year. 76 represents all the listings that are accumulating on the market. You also see that there's a dramatic decrease in sales of minus 27%. So that's pretty significant. Whereas your average price is kind of remaining the same. Now, what you want to do here when you think about this is these numbers are not just for Toronto. The Toronto Real Estate Board now includes a whole bunch of places. There's actually 7 regions in the Toronto Real Estate Board. They're all listed here. So you can see that we're including, Halton and Dufferin and Peel and all those regions. So those would be skewing the numbers a little bit in terms of what we're looking at. Now, I want to show you a few more charts and then we'll talk a little bit more specifically about Toronto. So this is the actual sales volume. The orange tab is this year. So you can see we've had a pretty dramatic decrease in the number of actual sell-through of homes over the past couple of months. If you take a look at this chart here, though, you'll see that we've actually had a lot new listings. So basically what we're seeing is a whole bunch of new listings, but not the amount of sell-through that we've had before. And that's resulting in a lot more inventory, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes. Now, we have talked a little bit about condos, and what we're seeing with condos is there's just tons and tons of condos on the market right now in the Toronto area, and that's for a number of reasons. So there's more condos on the market than there are actually houses for sale right now. So here's some months of inventory. So in the whole city of Toronto, so just the 416 area code, what we have is 4.1 months of inventory. Now that's really significant. A couple of years ago in 2021, when things were going crazy, we were down to less than 1 month's inventory, meaning that if you sold all the houses in the area, it would take 1 month to sell them through. Now we're at about 4.1 months. Central is really high, and again, that is driven by the condos. Now, a lot of people are really interested in seeing, what's going on with the different types of homes. You can see the detached homes versus the condos. And most importantly, as you take a look at the difference between kind of your 416 and your 905 area code here and the number of condos sold, you'll see that detached home price increase was about 7.6%. Now, that could be skewed a little bit by the fact that we're not selling through as many homes, and some of the homes are actually quite expensive. What you're also seeing is a decrease in the number of sales of condos, which is really huge, and also a slight decrease in the amount of price. Now, to put some context beyond that, why aren't these condos selling quicker if the prices are lower, or why aren't the prices going down? And we believe that some of those reasons are because some of the owners are just sitting on them and not letting them go for less money than they paid for them, which is what they would have to do in many cases right now. Going back to the price for a minute. Now, a lot of people find this really interesting. If you go back to the beginning of this chart in 1994, you can see that we had a very gradual increase in prices. Around 2016, everything changes and the prices go a little bit more crazy. Then, of course, you have the COVID years, and then we come down from COVID. And then over the last couple of years, like this is a little bit closer, you can see 2024 and 2025, the actual prices, the blue line, what you're seeing is the prices coming down a little bit. Now, if you look at the monthly comparison for the past 3 years, you can see that the price of homes, being the orange line for both January and February of this year, is a little bit flat or a little bit less than it was last year. And finally, if you want to take a look at this chart here, this breaks down the different areas in the Toronto region. What you can see is that in the west end of the city, we're sitting at about 3.6 months of inventory. Central is a whopping 5.2, and the east is around 2.8. Now, again, that 5.2 is primarily driven by that condo market. And I want you to watch my other video to see why there's so many condos on the market right now. Your prices are sitting around $1 million, with the average in the central being up. Now you wonder why I just mentioned condos, but that central market also picks up a lot of very expensive homes in the downtown core area. You're seeing that there's a huge amount of active listings in that central area, like 4,600 listings, 2,500 new listings. We're just seeing an absolute glut of condos coming onto the market. On the east end, you have just over 1,000, and in the west end, you have just over 1,000 new listings. So you can see that those areas, there's a little bit more heavy listings in the west than the east, but the west is pretty big. And then I just wanted to kind of point out the Roncesvalles area for you a little, which is sitting at 3.4 months of inventory, with the average price a little higher than the average in the city, just over under $1.2 million, but not a whole ton of new listings. So there you go for your overview for February for the market statistics for the Toronto area.